Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Thought I'd do another video from my computer tonight because I want to talk about a site that I go to quite often, and this site is really something that gives a lot of valuable information about EOS. And if you haven't, or if you're not familiar with it, I want to show you a little bit of it tonight. It's actually EOS Park, and I'll take you there right now. This site has always been up, but it's giving you a lot of information. I think it's very interesting and a very good place to really do some research on EOS and actually to follow the progression of the blockchain and how much the blockchain is growing. And actually, you can start here by just looking at the block. Here's the blockchain. You can actually click on this and watch the blockchain. This is actually some transaction. This is a transaction. You can click on this block, and you can actually see individual transactions, which shows you a lot of transparency as far as the blockchain is concerned. I'll click on the block. It'll take 1 second here for it to come up, and we can go through a little bit of information here and kind of show you what's going on the blockchain. Come on. So here we go. This is actually the hash that this blockchain is using to identify itself. This block is choosing to identify itself. And of course, here's the transactions. Here's an actual token transfer. And you can see the accounts going from to. This is the actual content information. Looks like it was a bet. Here's the ID, the player, the amount. They bet 3.75 EOS. They roll. Looks like they got some rolling here. Here's actually this is the smart contract from this person, crypto treasure and tokens. So there's so much information here that you can find by just going through EOS Park and looking at all this. And of course, nothing is actually hidden on the blockchain if you know how to find it. So there's the blocks. Here's the transactions. There's 807 million irreversible blocks or transactions. I think it's probably transactions. It's transactions. 637,000 accounts. Back when we did the tokens, when we did the challenge token. Let me take a look here. This is all the tokens that are running on EOS. If you do the holders, here we are. We're the challenge. We dropped on 160,000 accounts, 160,735 accounts. So you can see how much it's grown. It's actually 527 EOS holders, but you can see how much this has grown to over 600,000, 160,000 when we did the airdrop, and now it's 636,000. So you can see how much growth there is taking place on the blockchain. This is the one that's really interesting to me, the number of tokens, 2,831 tokens, up 14. So I believe it is. I think this is in the last 24 hours. Maybe not. Don't quote me on that one. But here recently, there's been another 14 added. Oh yeah, yesterday. Okay, yeah, maybe 24 hours. So yesterday, 14 new tokens added. We have 2,831 tokens. This is why EOS is so valuable. You have 2,831 tokens running on EOS, of which, as a token holder, you have an interest in all that activity. 4,000 transactions per second, or is that transactions per second? Yeah, transactions per second. Looks like about half the RAM's being used up. Here's another interesting stat. You have 42.45% of the accounts, or is that EOS that's voting, which is a little less than half. We talked about that last night. In my opinion, for the system to work the way it's working today, you need to have everybody voting, because that's the only way you're going to get an honest ranking for the block producers. So if you don't have everybody voting, you've got to give a way for people to get more motivated to vote. And of course, I suggested, as did Brendan Bloomer, that maybe there should be some reward, or actually some dividend, or some sharing of the reward for people to increase their vote, which I think would help make the blockchain more honest. Not that it's not honest now, but maybe if you had everybody voting, you would get a better idea of not only everybody voting, but all everything is up front, everything's on the table. You know what everybody's doing. There's nothing that's done behind the scenes. Everything's done transparently, wide open. And so if you actually had people being rewarded for that and it was all exposed, then we'd have a little bit more transparency as far as how this voting is stacking up and who's in the top positions, and trying to include everybody. I mean, I thought today somebody was asking me about how that wouldn't be a good idea to actually have people get reward because it's like vote buying. It's not, in my opinion, really vote buying, because you're just actually getting a little bit of a incentive to vote. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But I was thinking maybe today you could actually have a term limit as far as block producers are concerned. So they're switched out every so often. So there's a new group of block producers. The block producers, the 21 block producers, as they stand today, aren't so settled and getting so much reward that they can just kind of lock in those positions and they never change. Of course, this is the amount of tokens, I believe, 1,227,696,186. Price was down a little bit today, number 5 in market cap. And of course, down here is your actual block producers. Once again, Yobi is in the number 1 position. These top positions are, they have some pretty significant, they have some significant staying power in this position, because you got Yobi, they're big, huge exchange. You've got EOS Liquid, which I think is Bancor. You have Bitfinex, which is a big exchange. So yeah, I mean, these top positions are very hard for people to get to these positions, giving the amount of control that somebody like a Yobi has or somebody like that. So yeah, and I also think too, in the future, we're going to see more than 21 block producers. I think 21 is a number that was established because of previous what seemed to work well with Steemit, as Dan Lammer set this up, and he thought 21. I think in the future you're probably going to see more than 21 block producers, and probably see the rewards stretched out over more than 21 people, or more than 80 block producers. It's probably going to grow into the hundreds, I believe, where you're going to see hundreds of block producers, and the rewards shared out over lot more accounts. I think that will be healthy. The more block producers you can have, the more the rewards are spread out, the more energy, the more community you create, and the more people will be interested in being block producers instead of being on the outside looking in. When you get down to these accounts and you don't have any rewards, you know, it's difficult to maintain a server and maintain interest in running a node if you don't actually have some return for it. So I think that's very interesting. And I think it's there's going to be a better way of doing it in the future. And of course, we just need to kind of get that all balanced out and figure out how that's going to happen. But I think it's going to happen, where things are going to be a little bit different. Oh, you could actually even check out the whales. Here's the whales. Of course, block 1 has 100 million. Someone's got 52 million, 52 million, 52 million. OKEX, we probably know who that is. You got the RAM holders. I think for a while we were actually on the RAM holders as far as one of the whales. So we had so much RAM for a while. Let's see if we are still there. Yeah, let's see if we're in the RAM holders top 200. I'll just do Control F. I don't know if you're going to see this or not, but I'll see if I can find this. There we are. We're actually a whale. Challenge Stack is a whale. We're 168 in as far as the whale accounts are concerned in RAM. So we own a lot of RAM thanks to our airdrop. What is this? Account bids. Oh, okay. That's for name bidding, I think. And of course, here's the stuff. Just an enormous amount of information in this stuff. Recent blocks, transactions, tokens. You can actually see. And actually, what I love to do, I like to just go see, like just open up. Let's open up block 1 and see what tokens they hold. I love to see that. Block 1. Here's block 1's account. You know, we can see this. This is actually the main account. And actually, this is funny. They actually hold 200 million of our tokens. So when we airdropped, we sent a significant amount of tokens to Challenge, or to block 1. And let's see if we can see what else they're holding. Right here, yeah, you can see all the tokens. Block 1's been doing pretty well here as far as tokens concerned. They own 510 million of the IQ, and of course the eDNA. They own 100 million. So yeah, I mean, you can check all this stuff out. all transparent, all on the blockchain, all very interesting. Let's see if anything else I can talk about here about as far as this is concerned. I can actually type in a block producer, EOS San Diego. Here we are. We're actually 119. We've dropped 2 positions, so please help us with that. We need to get up and actually the top 80 would be nice. And actually, we're created by Linux. You can see that we're created by Linux. We have 341 voters. We rank 119. This is not correct. We don't have any rewards right now. But we started late, so we're just getting started. We got a lot of stuff going on. And see if there's anything else we can talk about here. I just wanted to bring this out because it brings out so much great information. It just shows you how great the blockchain is as far as being able to find stuff out and get information and be able to see transparency. So very interesting stuff. It's a good way to find out information. A good way to find out what's going on with EOS and all things. So anyway, let's hope that I recorded. So there we go. So there I am. Probably maybe back on the iPhone tomorrow night. Tonight was a little bit cold. I also want to make a little bit of mention tonight about EOS. Actually, Bitcoin's was 10-year anniversary today. I think Bitcoin's the invention of Bitcoin, the innovation of Bitcoin is probably one of the greatest ideas in the history of the world. It's only been around 10 years. We will find out more information we're not only finding information as we get into further blockchain mass adoption. We will appreciate how great an idea Bitcoin is and how it changed the world. I also want to make some videos about Satoshi. I mean, actually, it's a mythical figure. Nobody knows who he is. A lot of speculation on who Satoshi is, the founder, or the developer, or the person that first came up with the protocol of Bitcoin. A mythical figure that nobody knows much about. Although today is worth hundreds of, billions of dollars. I don't know how many billions, or a billion. It's worth a lot of money. So if somebody was around, obviously, if someone had that kind of money, they probably still be active. But since they're not active, it's an interesting story. What happened to Satoshi? Might make a video about that. But anyway, Bitcoin, 10 years in existence, like I say, changed the world. I don't think people appreciate it today as much as they will in the future, but a very significant day in history, the 10th year, 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.